Hi, are you okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just make sure that's off. There you are. Good, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview our game against Manchester United. We'll start off with Pete from Sky Sports.
How's your squad looking, Sean? Any additions from last week? Anybody got problems from last week?
No, Arnie continues to make progress. Not there yet. Ganna will be unlikely, but got a chance, I would say. And a few knocks and bruises, but everyone should be all right.
Bottom line is, I guess you need wins and you need goals, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, of course. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. But no, we're showing the right signs. I think everyone knows that. But I spoke last week about the frustration in actually taking the moment, because we're getting some key errors and key moments. And the story of a season so far, really, of not taking chances. But as I always reference, it's a team responsibility. Mine, the staff's and the team, but a team responsibility. It's not about one player. Obviously, everyone references strikers, or generally does, but it's a team responsibility. Other people are getting chances as well. We've got to continue doing that, that's for sure. That is another challenge, because it's not easy to create a lot of chances, a lot of good chances in football. But we are doing that, so we've got to at least maintain that and then add the detail at the final moment.
And what do you say to them during the week? I mean, it's not just as easy, I guess, as imposing more shooting practice. That doesn't replicate what you get in match day, does it?
No, I mean, if it was that easy, I suggested everyone would do it, wouldn't they? They'd all develop strikers from 6 years old to be strikers, and they'd all develop and score 50 goals a season. So that's the truth of being a striker, and how difficult it is to find top strikers around the globe. Many clubs try to do so. So, developing a striker is an interesting business and a tough business. That's the bigger picture. The smaller picture in our world is just continue with the themes, getting in the right areas. Your goals will come because you do the right things, and when you do the right things often enough, it works for you. So I think there's a strong belief inside of the camp of our goal scoring ability, and just having the freedom to go and take these challenges on.
Does it persuade you that maybe in months and seasons to come you need maybe a striking coach, a specialist coach?
I don't necessarily. I'm for all coaching of all different types. Whatever can work. But different kind of coaches. A lot's made now of set piece coaches. We haven't got one of them, but we seem to be doing pretty well at set pieces. So, I think our skill set from thousands of games as players and managers can offer us the chance to work at both ends of the pitch, which we do so.
You've picked up more points away from home this season than you have at Goodison. You're going to United, where they've not been particularly consistent this season. So, how much do you look forward to a game at Old Trafford? Because years ago it used to be a fortress. Maybe not so at the moment.
No, look, there's still a good outfit. They've still got some very strong players. We know that. So there's certainly no gimmies at Old Trafford, and there isn't across football. But I think the belief, it's a strange conundrum, really. When I got here, there was a load of noise about many things, but especially about their away form. We've somewhat corrected that. Still work to be done, and that's kind of then sort of softened down the home form. I don't think the home form, though, it's important that you use that word, because when people talk about form, that's not winning or losing. Form is the level of performance, and I think the level of performance has been overall has been pretty decent. Finding the moments that make them decent performances into wins, that's the trickiest part, and that's the most important part, and I'm absolutely acutely aware of that. But yourself, the perception of playing and form is a completely different thing from most people's views. If you're winning all the time, trust me, it can mask a lot of things that are not right with the performance. Equally, if you're not winning as much, then it shows that, the reasons why, but usually it's goals. Not always, usually it's goals. And in our case, it's goals, because I think the performances have been decent.
And weirdly, after the game on Saturday, no game till the end of March. Help or a hindrance?
Neither. It's a reality. I always try and deal in realities. We'll try and get the players away for a few days, because it is a long period. We didn't know until the fixture was changed. Excuse me. So we'll try and break that up by getting them away for a few days. It'll be a working trip, which we managed to scramble together, really, because obviously we didn't know until very recently what the game schedule was going to change to. I mean, it's been a tricky one for us. We all know the amount of games we had in December with a thinning squad due to injuries, and then all of a sudden you've had these chunks without a game. But like I say, it's the reality of how the fixtures have fallen.
And in terms of the rest of the season, and indeed planning for next season, a lot of noise still about the takeover, and I know that's something you don't particularly want to get into, but how does that affect your planning and your budgeting?
It's not about not getting into it. There is no noise at my end. There might be noise elsewhere. There's no noise at my end, so there's nothing to get into. It's just an ongoing situation that I'll wait and find out more news. So,
does it impact on your budgeting transfer?
well, like I said, I don't know until you do know. So, you know,
so
at
no
the
budget
moment,
yet. You don't know what your budget is.
no, the budget in here has been an interesting few years, I would suggest. So, yeah, let's see what happens going forward.
We'll leave that one on the table. What about? Can I just finally ask you about? It's World Book Day today. I don't know if you knew that.
I do. Big fan. And heard Chris Evans talking about it on his show this morning, rightly so. 2 children went through them periods of dressing up and all the rest of it, and fantastic.
But one fan in particular has gone a little bit further than that.
Believe you me, I'm aware that marvel of modern phones suggests that I've seen a young person showing
What do you think of the image, in particular the hair he's gone for?
Which is obviously very bright because his words make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's, I would say, a good representation of myself in a younger form, in a somewhat caricature style, I would suggest.
No legal action pending.
I would think it's highly unlikely, I would suggest. But no, it's, I must say, I think World Book Day is a fantastic idea and brilliant for the children.
He hasn't got the voice right, though, has he?
No one has yet. Even Farley. I sat with him at do, but just in case anyone's wondering, I've sat with him at an actual do, and he did me at an actual do for the LMA, so that was quite interesting. And he still said, yeah, I can't quite get the fact. And I went, yeah, the fact that I'm not from the north. And he went, yeah. So, but he's a genius, to be fair, with accents in general.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete.
How do I follow on from that? A missed penalty, but a goal last time out for Beto. What factors are you weighing up when choosing your starting striker for Saturday? Yeah,
I mean, it's we want the competitive element. I thought Beto did a good job. Obviously, he missed a penalty, but he wanted to take it. That was clear. Made up for it in the sense that he was still driving into the box, scored a very good header, brilliant ball in as well, but a very good finish. Ran out of legs and energy a little bit. We want that competitive element. You know, that's what everyone wants, especially in the striking department, because it's hard to get one striker, let alone 2 or 3, and Youssef behind that, learning his Spurs. So, you know, we want that combination of people who can affect a game, and so Beto, he's not been far away from the thinking anyway. But you know, it's finding the balance of the right people at the right time to go and win games. We didn't win, but he gave a decent performance.
Sticking with strikers, in the bottom half of the table, only Dominic Solanke has more shots than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I know you said that, you know, if there was an obvious solution, everyone would have, you know, be raising strikers from the age of 6. But what is the missing link there? Is there a solution?
No, finding the moment, you know, taking the moment. He's well aware of that. You know, no striker has forgotten their record. They all know. I certainly don't mention it to him. I just want him to go work hard. I want him to play for the team. I want him to get in the right areas. I see him on a daily basis, quite obviously. I know the quality he's got. I know his aerial power. I know that he can finish in different kinds of finishes. And it'll come, and it's believing in what we do, and it's believing in himself and continuing to do the right things, continuing with the habits that are formed over years as a striker, getting in the right areas, getting between the goal and the goal post, that is, in the key areas, and being alive in the box, you know, attacking the maybes, as I call it. Because sometimes you need one that comes off your shin, but sometimes you can make it come off your shin by just being alert and alive to things that are bouncing around the box. You know, not every goal can be a beautiful goal. Sometimes you need ugly, awkward goals. And I think that's something that our group continually need to find if we're not scoring beautiful goals.
You mentioned, obviously, taking those key moments and those opportunities down the other end, and in the last game in particular, succumbing to a fate that Everton have inflicted on plenty of other teams with the late goals this season. How important is it that the players at the back stay switched on later on into the game and past the 90 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, the last goal was a mistake, so that can happen, and you don't want it to happen, generally, of course. The one before that, we weren't alert enough to a simple, something that we deal with normally. It can happen, but on the other hand, we hadn't taken the chances to make sure the game was secure anyway. So there's always a balance to that. But focus and concentration is a big thing. Got all the stats and the facts. The lads have never been fitter in the year that I've been here. So that's one that's an actual fact. So that mental fitness as well, staying zoomed in and tuned in, if you like, to a game. That's always a question in the Premier League, but we've shown that we're more than capable of doing that over this season and last season.
Only 2 wins in the Premier League era at Old Trafford. What's it going to take something from the game and bring the 3 points home?
As always, you've got to play well. That's the biggest marker. You know, you go wherever you want in the Premier League. Everyone's a good side. You've got to play well. So we'll stay focused on that. We've got to perform again. We've got to keep creating the chances. We've got to take them and make sure that, as that young person said, Stop it going in that end and put it in that one. He was spot on. He must be listening to a very wise man, that young person. Thank you.
Thanks very much. We'll go to Juliet.
Thanks for laughing, because there'll be someone out there saying I was arrogant or something. I wasn't. It's just called dry banter, dry fun. Anyway, thank you.
I got it. It's funny. The XG suggests you should have 12 more goals scored than you actually do. Have you ever had that as a manager, these stats that are just not correlated with the goal?
No, and that's why I've mentioned it probably more this season, because I've never had it. I've never seen it in my time, or not that as powerful as that. Sorry. So yeah, it's an intriguing one and a conundrum for me, the staff and the players, to work out. But it's still, consistency is still the key for me. Making sure you're doing the right things, making sure you're getting in the right areas, making sure that you are getting a powerful XG. And then the final moment is the moment of truth, which I'll speak about endlessly, because it is. We're getting the team in the right areas, getting the right production, as in quality going into the box. All these things, the controllables or semi-controllable, you can't guarantee it. The final moment of truth is the bit where maybe we've just got to find that literally that final moment of talent to go and put the ball in, or even a scruffy one, as I said. It's not always have to be beautiful goals. Goals that make seasons are not always beautiful goals. It's how many you score. No one looks at the end of the season and says they were all beautiful goals. Someone just says you scored this many. So I mind the players of that as well. Every goal can be a perfect goal. Some have to just be muck and nettles goals, scruffy goals, driving into the box with monotonous regularity to make sure you're in there when the ball comes in.
You have your meetings and you've looked over the West Ham game and the players. Is it an open forum and you can talk about this? And are they as confused as you are, or are they working on something different this week?
I don't think it's confusion. Like I say, I try and deal in realities. These are the stats, these are the facts, but not just stats and facts. That's one thing. It's only a measure. The other thing is what your eyes are telling you, what your gut's telling you, what the players' output, what their feedback is. Putting all of that into a situation of a conversation between myself, the staff, and also the players at times when we think it's relevant, and individuals at times when we think it's relevant. And trying to unravel it, and sometimes trying to not actually make enough noise about it, because there's plenty out there. So sometimes it's actually going, right, okay, it's parked, let's move on. They've been nice and bright today. They're certainly putting a shift in, that's for sure. I couldn't actually, to give you a bigger picture, I couldn't be more proud of the players here. From what they've been through over the last few seasons. When I got it was just constant negativity everywhere. They managed to somewhat change that. Then when we changed it, of course, we get 10 points taken away. Then they went, right, let's get on with it. Got on with it again. Then we get 6 points taken away and 4 given back. Still getting on with it. Still working hard in training. Still working hard for the badge, the shirt, and for myself, the club. Couldn't be more pleased with them. People can go under in these circumstances. Our group here just continually work properly on the training ground, work properly for each other, take the games on. That's the mentality we want through thick and thin. That's the right mentality for this football club, in my opinion.
We've spoken many times before about a thin squad and the amount of injuries you've had as well. It's a position now that seems to have lots of options is the right back position. So I'm just wondering, with that, and you say you are proud of the players and they haven't gone under and how they're all leaders. Is this now a time where you're looking towards Seamus Coleman to come back into the starting lineup, just given the attacking options he brings you and also his leadership skills on the pitch? Yeah,
every player is looked at with a chance to play. You can only play 11. I say that to the players all the time. It's not about them, this player, that player. It's about the 11 that we picked to win a game. Getting that right is a tricky business, quite obviously. But no, we want the challenge in varying areas. We want the players to have a challenge. Like I say, it's good to see another striker scoring. And Dom doesn't play, because it's like, okay, well, there are other people, so let's have that challenge. We're in-house challenge, you understand, not the opposition. And that kind of challenge. So we've got people, I think Ben's done a decent job going out to right back. Pato's still developing. I say it all the time. People think because he bought it for a few quid, that's it. Still developing, still learning, and never more so than the people around him, including Shay, Youngie. These are very experienced guys. So that unit is a good unit, I think, and progressing and working. And all the details from all the players. There's lots of players here who are factored in at every game as long as they're fit, of course.
There's a lot of talk that Jarrod Branthwaite might get an England call up next week. We don't know till next week, but just his progression this season, how have you seen that? And, how impressive has he become in the Everton side? Yeah,
he's done well. He's enjoyed his football, I think, enjoying the challenge. Another one who's come into it at a pretty tough time and yet accepted the responsibility of playing, accepted the responsibility of doing his job, and continues to learn. And I continue to leave him alone. When we talk about coaching, sometimes the best coach in the world is to leave him, because he's going along, he's progressing very well, he's learning about the game. A few pointers, obviously, but not obsessively coaching about all sorts of the game. because he's learning it as he's going, and he's doing a very good job of it.
Thanks, Julian. We'll go to Will.
Hi, Sean. Just on Dan Jr., will he be back after this break, do you think?
There's a chance, definitely. He's doing very well. He's working very hard. He's pleased with how it's going as well, which is always a good sign when the player feels right. So yeah, we're hopeful, but we'll see.
Ligaments, has he done something? Has he done his
Sorry?
ligament? Has he done his ligaments or something? Has he in his
Yeah,
hand?
ankle ligament. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've quite unlocked him since he arrived? I mean, he's played out wide, he's played in the centre. Do you feel
No,
like
I think
you've got the best out of him yet?
I think we spoke when I brought him in, and we spoke as a staff. He can be flexible, finding the right game time, finding the habit forming that we want for the team has been a challenge for him. But I think he's doing that well. And just before, I thought he was really good down at Fulham, and then he gets injured. And ironically, he was just going to come off, which is one of them things. And an injury that looked quite innocuous has ended up being quite a serious injury. But he's firmly fixed on getting fit. He wants to beat the targets of the fitness targets, if you like. He's made that very clear to me, and he's working very hard.
Just a couple of years ago, when you were barely manager, you once said after that 3-2 game, you don't think Everton know how to win at half time to the players. It's obviously 10 games without a league win. Does it feel different, this team? Do you feel like you are knocking on the door?
No, it was another thing that gets badly referenced, and I made sure I spoke to Frank about it. I was having to say I'd been with teams like that, and sometimes it does feel like that. Slightly different here, because if we take the chances that we're producing, you win games. So it's a slightly different thing, but there is a theme there when you go, okay, so how do you win a game? Do you defend it out? Do you attack it out? Well, the way we've been playing, we should be attacking it out and scoring goals, and that is a way of handling a game, because you put yourselves in front, of course, and then the whole dynamic changes, the mentality changes. Finding a way is sometimes coaching and management, sometimes it's on pitch, how the players feeling it, what are we doing to find a way. I think over this season, we've done that pretty well. I think we've managed games pretty well. But it still is a fact. We haven't won in 10 games, so that's got to change. And sometimes you do that by hook or crook. Sometimes you do it by not playing well and you win a game. So you want to do it by playing well, and you want to do it by control and finding a way to win the game. So I think there's a healthy balance to that for the players and for myself. What is the right way of winning a game? Because wins change everything. Wins change the perception of everything. People saying we haven't done this, we haven't done that. Yeah, we have. If you win, people go, oh, it's a really good performance. Last week was a great example against West Ham. We'd have won that 2-0, everyone would have said, yeah, they played really well, really strong performers, loads of chances, scored 2 goals. Because you don't win, everyone goes, oh, they weren't doing this, they weren't doing that. That's football for you. That's something that we have to accept is the non-reality of football, and we have to look at the realities. So back to your point about managing games, about winning games, yes, it can drift a bit, but more because you're anxious for that first win. You're anxious for it, but we're showing signs of a winning side and not winning. So that's what we've got to take it on. It's not a mental thing. I think it's just like, come on, lads, the detail, or the devil is in the detail. That's the bit where we've all got to change, because we are doing the right things a lot of the time. But winning is the thing that solves everything.
Just a trip away during the break, where are you going to?
What's it got to do with you? So what's that all about? Just into Europe, that's all. A few days.
Hopefully refresh the team, revitalise me, look at what
Don't need refreshing or revitalising. Performances are there. I know all the stats and all the facts. I know what my eyes tell me. I've been in the game a long time. Just the fact you got 3 weeks without a game. It's hard coming in every day with no game at the end of it, with nothing other than just training. We'll have game formats, but it's not the same as playing in the Premier League. Trust me, you can't really recreate that. So finding a way of changing things to keep them sharp, to keep the mentality right, that we've already got.
Thanks, Will. Further questions in the open section? No? Okay, thank you.